You've spent your whole life bickering and throwing punches with your childhood friend, your sworn enemy, only for him to crawl under your covers in the middle of the night. You even deliberately dragged him in the comments and got him kicked out of the house, yet instead of getting mad, he actually wants you to take responsibility for him. He even puts on a pitiful act in front of your parents, accusing you of refusing to make things official. And just when you're about to fight back against his shameless behavior, one line from him, "I've been waiting for you for 20 years, completely shatters your defenses. My childhood friend and I are mortal enemies. When I went home for the new year, his mom posted a rant video, and I went absolutely feral in the comments. Auntie, that game console costs at least $3,000. All the other college kids are busy preparing for civil service exams or grad school over break. How does he have time to just sit there gaming? Your son is so bad. Unlike me, I'm up at 6, making breakfast for my parents. Watching my childhood enemy get kicked out of the house, I threw my head back and laughed. I did not expect that same night he'd sneak into my bed, voice low and sinful. My sweet little sister, you gotta take responsibility for me. Jason and I have been at each other's throats since we were kids. We've known each other for 18 years and fought for all 18. Over the spring festival break, even though we go to the same school, he still refused to give me a ride home. The more I thought about it, the madder I got, and I secretly swore that this new year, there was no way Jason was getting off easy. Just as I was plotting how to mess with him, I scrolled right into Aunt Smith's rant video. In the video, Jason was sprawled in his gaming chair playing video games, with a pile of empty snack bags on the desk. Aunt Smith had captioned it, "Are all college students like this now?" I snickered, inspiration striking, and immediately registered a bunch of burner accounts to launch my attack and hijack the comments. Tsk, tsk. That console alone is at least $3,000. All the other college kids are grinding for grad school or civil service exams. How does he have time to just sit here gaming? Such a bad big brother. Unlike me, I'm up at 6 making breakfast for my parents. And because I can't resist adding fuel to the fire, I even sent Aunt Smith a WeChat. "Auntie, I wanted to ask Jason out to hang. Is he up yet?" Knowing that jerk the way I do, he was definitely still sleeping in. Sure enough, Aunt Smith replied with a sticker of herself shaking her head and sighing, fanning the flames. I pretended to be shocked. "Oh wow, it's already noon and he's still asleep?" "I'm usually up at 7 studying. In that case, I'll just go help my parents with chores first. I'll have to ask him out next time." The little typing indicator blinked on and off. After a long moment, Aunt Smith sent a voice message, gritting out every word. "I'm so gonna kill this little punk today." Not long after, I heard her roaring through the wall, followed by a door slamming loud enough to shake the whole building. I didn't even have to think about it. Jason had definitely been kicked out. I threw my head back and laughed, humming a twisted little nursery rhyme to myself. The sun shines bright, the flowers smile at me, the birdie says, "Good morning." Hey, why are you sneaking around with dynamite? I'm off to blow up Jason. Teacher won't know a thing. Pull the fuse and then I run. And when I look back, Jason's blown sky high. That night, I happily rubbed it in, mocking Jason for being homeless. I did not expect that the next second, he'd climb straight in through my window, silver hair and all, with a lazy smirk on his lips. Jason stared right at me. "Call me Big Brother, again. Let me hear it." "I don't know what you're talking about." Guilty. I looked away, but my mouth stayed stubborn. "You sure about that?" Jason arched a teasing brow, lounging against the window frame, his tone amused. "Yeah, I did it. So what?" For some reason, my confidence wavered, but I still craned my neck and glared at him. "So what?" Jason's laugh rumbled out of his chest as he slipped under my covers like he owned the place. "So of course you have to take responsibility, my good little sister." I hurled a pillow at him, furious, and tried to yank him out. "I just made this bed." Jason only shrugged. Totally shameless. "Don't care. I've got nowhere else to go anyway." Choking on my frustration, I lifted my foot and kicked at his face. I kicked a little too hard, lost my balance, and fell straight onto Jason. "Throwing yourself at me now?" he managed, stifling a laugh as he hauled me upright. "Get off." My face was burning as I launched another attack. Jason had zero concept of cherishing delicate flowers. He caught my wrists and pinned me beneath him. And right then, the door swung open. My mum and Aunt Smith both froze, then plastered on awkward smiles and said in unison, "Don't mind us, carry on." "Me?" Shit. In the weird silence that followed, Jason suddenly raised his voice and yelled, bright and clear, "Yes, ma'am! Yes, your ass!" I snapped back on reflex. Jason darted a timid glance my way, eyes instantly reddening as he put on a pitiful act. "Auntie, Belle and I have been together for a long time, but she refuses to acknowledge me, won't make our relationship public. I really don't know what to do anymore." My pupils practically shook. "So what you're doing now is some kind of forced love?" my mum gasped, eyes shining with gossip as she clapped a hand over her mouth. Jason's voice went low and aggrieved, dripping with fake fragility. "I just got impatient and came over to ask Belle for an explanation. You're not mad at me, are you, Auntie?" I dragged a hand down my face. "Mom, have you been doom-scrolling Zhuhu again? What kind of weird takeaway is that?" Right, the point. The point is you have to take responsibility for Jason. It just so happens our two families are going on a trip. You're staying home to take good care of him." Aunt Smith beamed like a proud aunt in a drama, shaking the keys at Jason. "I'm guessing you won't be needing these. Don't say your mum never gives you a chance." Before I could even argue, my mum had already hustled her out the door. I stood there utterly dazed, seething but helpless. "Jason, get out of my house!" "Auntie, Belle's trying to kick me out." "Boo-hoo." Jason raised his brows at me in open challenge as he dialed my mum. And so my mum proceeded to spend a full 30 minutes roasting me as a heartless scumbag daughter without repeating a single insult or pausing for breath. Fine. You win. After I finished making up the guest room, Jason dragged me out to buy daily necessities. At the supermarket, I was lugging a bunch of heavy bags, weaving through the crowd, while Jason strolled along with his hands in his pockets. "Grab another one of those." "Yeah, and one of that too." "You don't have hands of your own? Didn't you promise Auntie you'd spoil me rotten?" Jason blinked his big eyes at me, smiling like he deserved a beating. Pushed to my limit, I snatched up a little square box from beside the register, batted my lashes at him and cooed. "You're so bad, big brother. I'm already pregnant. You know?" Jason's pupils shrank as he froze on the spot. In my best squeaky baby voice, I pouted miserably. "It's so heavy, and you don't even help me carry anything. What if I overwork myself and it hurts the baby?" People all around us were struggling not to laugh. Jason scrambled to grab all the bags from me, face flushed red. He ground his teeth. "Quit talking nonsense." "Boo-hoo, don't be mad, big brother. I'd never let your wife find out I'm pregnant. She's probably waiting for you at home. She won't hear a thing." I swiped at non-existent tears, my voice catching like I was about to cry. The bystanders' eyes lit up, and they started subtly circling closer. A few elderly onlookers pointed at Jason and clicked their tongues. Kids these days, no morals at all. Jason took a deep breath. His smile stretched so tight it looked painful as he took the little box from my hand. "Why would I be mad? I could never spoil you enough, sweetheart." His expression was darker than the bottom of a burnt pot as he dragged me toward the exit. "Hey, slow down. You'll jostle the baby." Watching him eat humble pie like that, I was screaming with glee on the inside and couldn't resist keeping up the act, whining sweetly. Jason's brow twitched, and he suddenly stopped, slinging the shopping bags over his shoulder before scooping me up bridal style. Caught off guard, I yelped and instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck. I was pressed against his chest, right over the steady thump of his heartbeat. My slightly parted lips brushed his Adam's apple as it bobbed. I froze, heat rushing to my cheeks. Above me came a soft, teasing chuckle. Jason's cool fingertips tapped the tip of my burning ear. "Why so quiet all of a sudden, my little lover?" His voice dragged out slow and lazy, drawing out the last 3 words, low and thick with a mix of desire and tenderness. Meeting the sparkling amusement in his eyes, I jerked my gaze away to hide how flustered I was. Pervert. I had to admit. Jason had been ridiculously good-looking since we were kids, and to make it worse, he just had to come with those sinful, fox-like eyes. I wriggled out of his arms and stormed ahead, only to crash straight into someone. "Isabel. Wow, what a coincidence. Do you live around here?" Larry's eyes lit up as he hurried to steady me. "Hey, yeah, what a coincidence." I dodged his gaze, giving him a polite little greeting. Jason caught up, wrapped an arm possessively around my waist, and scolded. "Why are you so careless? And this is?" Larry's smile faltered as he tested the waters. "My brother." Catching the stormy look on Jason's face, I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Oh, I thought you'd already found someone else right after we split. Larry let out a long breath and smiled again. Isabel, cheating on me behind my back, huh? Jason's eyes darkened, his voice a cold whisper against my ear. I held my fake smile like my life depended on it, suddenly tongue-tied. Huh, I don't remember you ever mentioning a brother. Larry went on, completely oblivious to the tension, trying to make conversation. He's the no-blood relation kind of brother, you get me? Jason's face was like thunder as he snapped, then yanked me away. He's 6'1" with legs for days. Every one of his strides means I have to take two. Normally, he'd slow down a little for my short legs. But today, he was stomping off in a huff, walking faster and faster. His grip on my wrist hurt, and I stumbled, almost falling. Jason, slow down! You like that guy? Jason stopped short and turned, staring straight at me like he was about to crack his molars. No. If you don't like him, why were you with him? Jason pressed. What does who I date have to do with you? His barbed questions lit my temper. I shot back, annoyed. My eyes stung with frustrated tears, but I stubbornly met his gaze. His chest rose and fell. After a long moment, Jason finally bent down and wiped at my tears like he was admitting defeat, his voice going soft. Sorry. I overreacted. I just don't want you getting played. None of your business. I slapped his hand away and muttered under my breath. Jason ruffled my hair, slipping right back into his usual cocky attitude. I'm your brother. Of course it's my business. My breath hitched, and my tears almost started again. So, you said yes when he confessed. You really didn't like him, right? I went quiet. Jason stared at me, waiting. I told you to stay out of it. Do you seriously think you're my brother or something? My emotions spun out of control, and I rushed into my room and locked the door behind me. Sliding down the wood like my strength had been drained, I buried my face in my hands. I like Jason. I've liked him since I was really, really young, but it seems like he'll only ever see me as a sister, or even just one of the guys. The way he fusses over me, looks after me, takes care of everything. It all feels like it only comes from all those years we've known each other. Nothing more. Back in high school, when Jason and I were messing around, Aunt Smith scolded him, saying he'd grown up and needed to keep boundaries. No physical contact with girls. My face went red, but Jason just slung an arm around my shoulder like it was nothing. Belle? We're childhood bros who've been beating each other up since forever. What's there to avoid? My little budding crush was instantly doused with a bucket of cold water. Still, I figured boys just matured late, so I kept bothering him under the excuse of picking fights. Until college, when I accidentally overheard Jason chatting with his friends. Isabel's great as a friend, but she totally isn't girlfriend material. After that, I intentionally distanced myself from Jason and Moped for a long time. Meanwhile, Larry had been pursuing me persistently since freshman year. Under my roommate's persuasion, I said yes to him, deciding to give it a try. But on our dates, he revealed an unhealthy need for control. And I also realized I couldn't let go of Jason. So on the third day of dating, I broke up with Larry, because it was all too embarrassing to explain. I never told Jason I'd been in a relationship at all. I still acted carefree every day, picking fights with him just to have a reason to make him look at me. One night, unable to sleep, I shuffled out in my slippers to get some water. As soon as I pushed my door open, something blocked it. Looking down, I found Jason slumped sideways against the door. What are you doing? I frowned, confused, trying to pull him up. The can in my hand rolled away. Jason looked up at me in a daze. Who are you? Why were you drinking? How'd you get this drunk? I grumbled, catching a whiff of the alcohol on him. Who are you? Don't touch me. Jason lifted his hands like an Ultraman shooting a light beam, backing away in alarm. I couldn't help laughing, and suddenly felt like teasing him. I'm gonna touch you anyway. Not just touch, I'm gonna feel your abs. Jason froze for a full 3 seconds before sluggishly covering his shirt. No, only my wife can touch them. Do you have a wife then? My heart tightened, my voice trembling. Jason looked like a drenched puppy, eyes instantly turning red. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like me, so I don't have a wife anymore. I have no wife, no wife, no wife. Had Jason gotten this drunk because of a breakup? I let out a bitter little smile, suddenly too afraid to speak. After a long silence, I picked up the half-finished can of beer on the floor and chugged it. Then I numbly dragged Jason back to his room. Once I tucked him in, I sat on the edge of his bed. My fingers hovered in the air for a long time, before falling back. From an inch above, I traced the outline of his sleeping face. The empty ache inside me grew heavier. The next day, I sat on the sofa with dark circles under my eyes, staring blankly at nothing. Jason rubbed his nose awkwardly. I didn't say anything weird last night, did I? Why were you drinking so much all of a sudden? I asked lightly, clinging to a tiny thread of hope. His gaze dodged mine, his voice growing quieter and quieter. My heart slowly sank. Pretending to be casual, I grabbed my phone and scrolled. Forget it if you don't want to say. I was just asking. Jason opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but a phone call cut him off. Hey, Belle, I've got 2 extra tickets to a concert. Want to go this weekend? Larry's voice was full of enthusiasm as he started describing the program. Since I was at home, I'd picked up the call on speaker, out of habit. Jason's gaze darkened as he stared at me, mouthing each word distinctly. No, you can't. Since Larry and I had already broken up, I had no intention of getting tangled with an ex, and I was going to refuse him anyway. But Jason's controlling tone made resentment bubble up inside me. Why could he date whoever he wanted? But I couldn't even talk to another guy, so I snapped. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. That guy looks at you wrong. You're absolutely not going. Jason's voice was tight with anger. You've never let me hang out with guys. Ever since we were kids, especially in our teens, whenever I got close to a boy, you'd go straight to my mum and tattle. You claimed it was to help me focus on my grades, and fine, I could understand that. But I'm an adult now. I have the right to interact with the opposite sex. You have no reason to interfere, no right to interfere. Bitterness rose in my chest, and I shouted back, You're really gonna go, huh? Jason's lips pressed into a thin line, his stare sharp. I am. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. Jason shut his eyes like he was surrendering, then reached out his long arm and pulled me straight into his chest. His fluffy head nuzzled into the crook of my neck, rubbing softly like he was trying to please me. Don't go, okay? His voice was muffled, ending with a plaintive little whine, almost pleading. My cheeks flushed instantly, and I froze. Jason never backed down from anything. He was always cocky and overbearing. This was the first time in all these years I'd seen him cave. The little wolf suddenly turned into a whimpering puppy, and my confusion nearly matched my shock. Why? I finally asked, stumbling over the word as my thoughts caught up. After a moment of silence, like he'd made the hardest decision of his life, Jason spoke. Isabel, I've waited for you for 20 years. I can't stand watching you get close to someone else. His voice was low and hoarse, but full of certainty. Every word hit right at my heart. I hate any guy who comes near you because I'm in love with you. Those noble-sounding reasons were just excuses to hide my selfishness. I'm not that generous. I'm not raising some other guy's wife for free. I've taken care of you since we were kids because you're the one I chose. Something warm and wet brushed my collarbone as Jason left a faint red bite mark there. His hot breath spilled over my neck, ticklish and intoxicating. His arms tightened around me. There, marked. You're mine. My pulse spiked, that honey-like sweetness flooding through my whole body. But the last shred of reason in me screamed that I couldn't surrender that easily. Then why didn't you say anything before? I was scared you'd reject me, with the way things are between us. If it didn't work out, we couldn't even be friends anymore. Jason cast me a pitiful glance, his voice soft and sulky. Once, when I was bringing food to you, I overheard you telling your friend that I wasn't good boyfriend material. I remembered that whole mess and snorted coldly. You didn't hear the whole thing. I said she wasn't suited to be my girlfriend, but she'd make a great wife. That guy actually asked for your contact info afterward. I treated him like a roommate, but he wanted to hit on my wife. Of course, I had to crush that hope completely. Jason rushed to explain, indignant. Fine. I blinked at him with deliberate arrogance, unable to stop the smile tugging at my lips. So, you're not going to that concert, right? Jason tugged at my shirt hem pitifully, like some wronged little house husband. I wasn't planning to anyway. I don't like him. I only dated him because I thought you didn't like me, and I should try giving someone else a chance. So, does that mean you like me too? Jason asked cautiously, eyes shining with hope. Of course not. You made me cry so many times. I couldn't resist teasing him, seeing him so meek and soft. But before I finished my sentence, Jason cut in, panicked. Belle, I was wrong. It's all my fault for not confessing sooner. But can you please not reject me right away? Give me a trial period, just a little one. I'll prove how much I love you. I tried to hold back a smile and nodded. Fine, you're on probation. What I'd been about to say had a twist, but it got stuck in my throat. Ever since Jason confessed, the way he looked at me felt less than innocent. That night, while I was washing up, Jason called lazily from the bathroom. Belle, I forgot my pajamas. Can you hand them over? The door was slightly ajar. I turned my face away and held the clothes out with one hand. Jason yanked hard, and before I could let go, I fell straight into his arms. His warmth rushed up around me. My hands landed on his chest, solid muscle, heartbeat pounding under my palms. Heat spread across my face so fast it burned. When I glanced down in panic, all I saw were sharply defined abs, water sliding down along the V-line, disappearing under a barely secured towel. The air thickened instantly, the atmosphere charged. Like I'd been burned. I tried to pull back. Maybe the floor was too slippery. Maybe my mind was too messy. My foot slipped, and I pitched backward. A low laugh rolled out of Jason's throat as his strong arm hooked around me, pulling me tightly against him. His warm fingers brushed my waist in a slow, teasing stroke that made heat rush all the way up my neck. My fingers curled helplessly, not knowing where to rest. Seeing how flustered I was, Jason took my wrist, guiding my hand across his abs until it rested firmly on his lean waist. My mind exploded like fireworks, and I suddenly remembered his drunken murmur that night. Only my wife can touch. The heat in my face only deepened. Jason, what are you doing? Seducing you. His smile was loose and lazy, gaze bold and shameless. His damp silver hair glowed golden under the warm light. Jason's fox-like eyes curved beautifully. He looked unfairly gorgeous, downright dangerous. My brain short-circuited for 2 seconds before I bolted like a startled rabbit. Back in bed, I rolled around restlessly, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, all I saw was Jason's stupid, handsome face. No sense of decency at all. Seducing people like that. Unbelievable, I muttered angrily. Knock, knock. The door sounded twice before Jason pushed it open and leaned against the frame. Why'd you come in without waiting? I poked my head out from under the covers, glaring at him. So knocking was just for show. We're gonna be sharing a bed sooner or later. What's there to be shy about? Jason said seriously, though he was clearly fighting a smile. Why are you here this late? My cheeks heated again as I changed the subject. My blanket got wet. I don't have a dry place to sleep. His tone was flat, way too flat. I suspected he was lying. Pulling on a jacket, I went straight to the guest room and found a big, wet patch on the blanket. What'd you do? Pee the bed? I teased without mercy, tilting my head. Of course not. I just spilled water. Jason messed up my hair in exasperation, sighing. Just turn on the heater. It'll dry soon. I grabbed the remote from the cabinet, shoved it into his hand, and turned to leave. Jason's expression tightened. What if I catch a cold? How could you just let me sleep under a wet blanket? You're not that fragile. In that case, I guess I'll reluctantly go see if there's a fresh blanket somewhere. I gave him a sly smile and drew out an, "Oh!" Jason's Adam's apple bobbed, his gaze darkening as a smirk tugged at his lips. Fragile or not, why don't you test it? Before I could react, he pinned me against the wall. One hand cupped the back of my head, the other lifted my chin, and his nose brushed mine in a slow, teasing graze. Wanna test it? His low, husky voice made my heart skip a beat. Since when did this man get so good at this? Like some kind of wicked fairy. Go back to sleep. Stop being so indecent. I tried to protest. Okay. Jason agreed instantly, yet didn't move an inch. I sighed and tilted my head up. Move. I'm going to find you another blanket. No need. There's a perfectly good one right here. His gaze flicked toward my room, his smile sly like a fox. So he'd been waiting here on purpose. When we were little, my parents were often on business trips. I hated the dark, so I always begged Jason to sleep with me. Over time, it became a habit. Only now that things had changed, I suddenly felt awkward. I shot him a glare and kicked him without hesitation. Dream on! Jason clung to the doorframe, looking like a martyr about to face execution. Fine, fine. I'll admit I wet the bed, okay? Ha 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 ha. Fine. I froze for a second, then doubled over laughing, Giving him a silent thumbs up, Jason stomped into my room, hugging a pillow, face black as thunder. I put a huge body pillow down the middle and drew a finger across my throat. Warning, no crossing the line. Yes, yes, Jason agreed immediately, even making a little oath gesture. And yet the next morning, I opened my eyes to find Jason wrapped around me like an octopus. Explain. Yourself. I slapped him awake, furious. If I say I was sleepwalking, will you believe me? Huh. I slapped him again. That weekend, Jason dragged me back to our old high school, calling it reliving our youth and building emotional connection. As we walked around the track, he squeezed my cheek. Half of how fair your skin is now? Credit goes to me. Back then, he was already tall. His shadow always completely covered me. Every PE class, I'd just hide behind him like he was my personal sunshade. And the other half? Also mine. You were always stealing my milk every day. Strange though, after drinking so much, you still didn't grow any taller. We stepped into a familiar classroom, and memories flooded back. Jason casually sat at his old back row desk, long legs stretched out, the chair tipping as the front legs of the desk lifted slightly. You always pulled my chair back when I sat like this, and made me fall. Did you like me back then already? Jason raised a brow, clearly in a great mood, eyes bright. You always sat like that when I walked by. It made my hands itch. I stuck out my tongue and dodged the question. That wasn't coincidence. Jason chuckled. I did it on purpose. I wanted you close. His straightforwardness made my face burn. Staring out at the bright blue sky, he continued. I asked to sit in the back row just so I could stare at you openly. I knocked your pen off your desk every time I walked past because you puffing up in anger looked like a hamster made me want to squish you. I let the air out of your bike tire so you'd sit on my back seat and wrap your arms around me. Whenever you ordered me to buy your drinks, I'd tighten the cap on purpose so you'd come to me for help, looking all pitiful. I told everyone we were bros just so I could hold your hand without getting questioned. At the sports meet when I fainted after the 1500-meter run. I wasn't tired at all. I just lost it the moment I saw you. Isabel, I've schemed like crazy for you. Winter sunlight streamed through the windows, softening his features with warmth. All those years of hidden feelings, buried in the dark, suddenly clicked together like a puzzle finally completed. Looking at him, I felt an unexpected sense of wholeness. What? Got so touched you're speechless. Jason smirked, snapping his fingers in front of me. No. I denied instantly, but my voice cracked with tears. Hey, don't cry. You know I can't handle that. Jason panicked, his rough fingertips brushing the corners of my eyes, leaving a lingering warmth. Seeing him so flustered, I burst into a shaky laugh. We passed by the cafeteria, and I went in to buy milk tea. The serving auntie spotted Jason behind me and grinned knowingly. So you finally caught the girl? Jason slipped an arm around me, scratching his cheek shyly. Still working on it. Still trying. I sucked on my straw, baffled. What's going on? The auntie chuckled even harder. Girl, you don't know? One time he came running through a rainstorm to the cafeteria, had an umbrella but still ended up soaked. Asked me if he could borrow some brown sugar from the kitchen. Said he needed to make himself ginger tea to warm up. He looked so panicked you'd think something terrible happened. But Auntie here has experience. I knew right away it had to be for someone else. I suddenly remembered a time in high school during my period. I took a sip of a cold drink and ended up in so much pain I could barely stand. Jason's brown sugar tea had been the only thing that helped. The cafeteria aunt leaned over too, giving me a meaningful look. And that boy used to buy 2 breakfasts every morning. I bet one was always for you. During senior year, I was stressed about my grades. I'd study with a flashlight until midnight, then skip breakfast to squeeze in extra morning study time. Jason scolded me every day while bringing me breakfast without fail. See, the whole world knew I liked you, except you. So dumb. Jason flicked my forehead and took my hand as we walked outside. My face went hot. Well, now I know, I whispered. Early the next morning, Jason went out shopping for groceries. I was on the sofa scrolling my phone when a rapid knock sounded at the door. Hello, is Miss Isabel home? Your package is here. Please come sign for it. Without thinking, I opened the door only to see Larry's face under a baseball cap. I had never told him my home address. If he were working part-time as a courier, He wouldn't pretend not to know me. The realization hit me instantly. Something was wrong. I reached into my pocket and secretly pressed my emergency contact. Then I tried to close the door, but Larry shoved me backward into the house. Slamming the door shut, he ripped off his mask and advanced with a twisted smile. "Belle, why did you reject me?" I backed away, trying to reason with him. "We broke up. What you're doing right now is a crime." "I regret it. You're not leaving me." Larry lunged, eyes vicious. I fought with everything I had, my sharp nails slicing a bloody line across his face. He panted, wiped the blood, and smiled even more creepily. "Playing the pure little angel, huh? You're living with your precious big brother, aren't you?" Terror swallowed me whole. Larry had been stalking me. Enraged, he grabbed my ankle and yanked me toward the bedroom. I screamed and clung to the sofa. "He'll be back any second! Run while you still can!" Larry slapped me so hard my head rang. His face twisted into something monstrous. "Don't try to scare me. Didn't he just leave this morning? He's not coming back anytime soon." My head throbbed painfully, my breathing sharp and panicked. Seeing how fiercely I resisted, Larry cursed and turned to look for tape. That was when my phone rang. Larry tied up my hands and feet, his grip crushing my throat as he tore at my shirt. Please let me go." Despair swallowed me whole as I begged him. "Tsk, your body's even better than I thought. Should have locked you up from the start." His voice dripped with filth as he pushed down on me. I squeezed my eyes shut, curling into myself in terror. Bang! A deafening crash. The weight on my body vanished. I blinked through tears and saw Jason fist slamming into Larry again and again, fast and brutal. Muscles coiled like a wild beast unleashed. Larry wasn't even a match. He collapsed quickly, too winded to curse anymore. Jason didn't say a word, his eyes dark and murderous. He grabbed a vase and smashed it over Larry's head. Larry screamed and crumpled, shards scattering as Jason's arm streaked red with cuts. Snapping out of my shock, I stumbled forward and hugged him. Stop. It's enough. It wasn't worth breaking the law over someone like Larry." Jason seemed not to hear me, landing a few more vicious kicks before finally slowing. His whole body trembled as he crushed me against his chest, holding me so tightly it felt like he wanted to fuse me into his bones. It's okay. I'm here." His eyes were red as he patted my back like soothing a terrified child. I clutched his shirt, sobbing. "Thank God you came." After giving our statements at the police station, Jason unzipped his coat, wrapped it around me, and fastened it shut with stubborn determination. "How am I supposed to walk like this?" I smoothed his furrowed brows, speaking softly. "I'll carry you." Jason held me tight, eyes glued to me like I'd disappear if he blinked. Okay. I let him lead me home. Back inside, Jason grabbed the first aid kit, pulled me onto his lap, and gently cupped my face, brushing the red mark on my cheek. "Does it still hurt?" I shook my head and opened a bandage for his wounds. "I'm fine. You first." Jason stopped my hand and started disinfecting my scratches instead. Tch. The sting made me gasp. He immediately leaned in and blew softly. "Better?" "Still a little uncomfortable," I admitted honestly. "What about now?" His hand on my lower back tugged me forward as Jason pressed a kiss to my cheek, soft and lingering. Warmth spread from that spot across my skin, melting away every ache and leaving behind a strange, tingling sweetness. Heat rose to my face again, and I gently pushed him. Jason placed a final peck at the corner of my eye, pressing his forehead to mine. "Belle, I love you so much." A delicate sweetness bloomed in my chest. "Jason, I love you too." Sensing his overwhelming fear and worry, I intertwined our fingers firmly. His dim eyes lit up in tiny sparks, and he kissed me fierce and full of longing. That night, I woke from a nightmare to find Jason gone. Panic flooded me. I stumbled out of bed and called him. "Jason, where are you?" Jason soothed me gently. "Belle, I'm right here. Look outside your window." I was about to open it when his warm voice stopped me. "Just look through the glass. It's windy out." I obeyed and looked up. Against the pitch-black sky, fireworks burst open layer after layer, like tides crashing and retreating, blooming in gold and diamond white. The colors faded gradually, revealing a glowing orange sentence across the heavens. "You are my endless daylight." His deep, magnetic voice spilled through the phone. Most cities don't allow fireworks anymore, so I keep mine stored against my left chest for now. When you kiss me, they ignite, exploding into a whole galaxy just for us. From now on, if you want to see fireworks, kiss me. And if you ever see fireworks again, you'll think of me. So, will you make this official? Miss Isabel. Permission granted. Mr. Jason is hereby hired as my boyfriend, term of employment. The rest of his life. Fireworks lit the sky once more, brilliant colors reflecting in his eyes. And in them, I could clearly see my own reflection.